Hello, students and clients. Welcome back to the NMSC Learning Systems YouTube channel. In partnership with HECdistribution.com, right products, great price, goals met, and SEI Global's Logicom and Opportunity Manager online software tools. How to sell to the Defense Logistics Agency, also known as the DLA. My name is Kiwi Hendricks. I am the DLA guru, and I will be your lead consultant in today's high-level training exercise. All right.
Hello, how are you today?
Yeah, hi, Sabrina.
I'm getting my camera here. Hold on.
Okay, no problem.
There. All right, here I am.
All right, fantastic. Pleasure to meet you.
Yes, you too. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic today, believe it or not. It's TGIF, thank God it's Friday.
Yep.
And, it was a pretty good week. I'm just looking forward to a relaxing weekend is really where I'm at.
Look, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all.
That's why this particular session is being recorded just for, purposes, and it may be used in some marketing that we will be doing with the channel. It may or may not be used. It depends if we got some nuggets that we can potentially share with other clients and students alike. So
okay.
I definitely appreciate participating with it, and hopefully I can be of assistance with your journey.
Yes, most definitely. I really wanted to be able to try to get a better understanding of some of the other nuances. Like I went through the whole training, and so I know a lot of what you were teaching. After I got in there, you were talking about the different systems and programs, but I was trying to learn a little bit more about the DIB system. So since then, I went on and found some little stuff. It's not much stuff I hear about DIBs. I'll tell you, it's like the best kept secret.
Yeah.
But I did go in there and I dived in a little bit more and researched some of the PSC codes. I found some stuff that, I thought that, I could kind of dabble in, just kind of get started, just to be able to just get started with the process. And I wasn't looking for like big ticket stuff. I was trying to just find some stuff that, where I can practice really trying to get familiar with how to work before. So I did send you one in the comments. I don't know if you've seen it when I sent it over. One that's due like the note section. When I sent back my my meeting.
Let me bring that up real quick because maybe I didn't look at that close enough. Okay, I see here. Please share anything that will help prepare for me. Okay, DIBS saw solicitation. Wonder if you thought about as a first bid. Okay, I got the NSN right here. It's due on October the 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me do this real quick then. So I'm going to share my screen with you.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do is bring in again, we are definitely an advocate of, as you saw in the training, the SEI Global Logicom and Opportunity Manager software. It's not a requirement to do business with DIBS, but I've been working with DIBS for over 20 years, and we've been working with SEI Global for over 20 years. So it's definitely been a tool that has helped, me and my team, understand the data, and it just helps to kind of organize it in a better way. So let me go ahead and launch that for you here. I'm trying to get to a screen that will work right. 1 second. All right. All right, let me share the screen. Okay, so you see my screen there?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So let me go ahead and log into SEI Global, and I always pull a secondary tab, and that gets me into the Opportunity Manager software as well. All right, now, so yeah, this is kind of this is my training account. So it's not our parent company account, but it's still the same functionality, same tool, same everything. The only difference is that the opportunity manager, it doesn't show our complete watch list and things like that. But you and I would be able to play around with it a little bit. So as far as your national stock number, and again, you don't necessarily, you could research NSNs on the DIBS platform as well. But just for the sake of today's training, I'll just kind of do a little deep dive into that. So it looks like Grainger. So I guess my first question do you have a relationship with Grainger?
No, this is new. So I got a couple of questions I got wrote down here. So this is all new for me. So I was just looking at things, that I could possibly bid on. Again, you may tell me this may not be the best place for me to start, but okay. I was just digging in, looking at stuff so I can just try to get an understanding. After I do the course and I've seen some of the stuff that, like some of the NSNs that you put into this tool, but being that I didn't have access to this tool, I just went into DIBS and I was pulling stuff out and looking at it.
Okay, cool, no problem. And I will say, Grainger is a great start. Let me say that again, a great start for vendors or companies that are interested in doing business with DIBS, because Grainger has such a large catalog of industrial supplies and they're consumable products. And so, Grainger, I think last I checked, they probably do, their annual sales is like $6 billion a year, the publicly traded company. Mm-hmm. So they're not very DIBS centric, because DIBS is very DLA centric, because DLA really, really likes doing business with small businesses. So you don't really find yourself competing directly with Grainger. All right. So I highly recommend it. As a matter of fact, 20 years ago, so I was a much younger person, we had a great relationship with Grainger. So Grainger was one of my very first resellers. Then we set up a reseller account working with Grainger where we were able to get government pricing. What city are you located in?
I'm in Capitol Heights, Maryland.
So you're in Maryland. All right. So Grainger, I'm sure, probably has branch offices all throughout in your area. I highly, highly recommend you get into with your local branch as a company and let them know kind of what you're trying to do and see if there's a way that you can shake some hands and get involved with Graingers. They have a federal government department that literally works with resellers who are federal government centric and state and local. So, Grainger is a great resource to get the ball rolling. And another reason why Grainger and having a relationship with them, it would be great for your company, is because Grainger, once you're able to get that all set up and apply and they approve you and get your dealer account, that all purchases that you do with Grainger, they report that to Dun & Bradstreet. So you'll begin to develop off the, not every master distributor will report your credit to D&B, but Grainger is one of those that they do that. All right. So highly recommend it. So this is actually a great start. I'm excited for you. All right. Now, the first thing that I would do in looking at this particular one. So, first of all, let's do this. We'll go into take the NSN and I'm going to go ahead and drop this into Opportunity Manager because I'm curious to see what's out there. All right. And so I imagine you must have found this particular opportunity where there's 150 of them that they're looking to buy.
Yes.
And the response date, reward date is 10/3, like you had mentioned. All right. So the next step that I would do is let's go to Grainger, www.grainger.com. And I'm going to go ahead and take this part number and let me know if I'm clicking around too fast because I'm so used to doing this. I move kind of quick. So I'm going to drop the Grainger part number here and then just do a quick search on Grainger. And what this does is it kind of, at a very high level, it tells you what their web price is. So this is kind of like their standard retail price. Where if you had an account with Grainger, you'll be able to sign into your account and then you'll on screen be able to get your actual negotiated wholesale pricing from Grainger.
Okay.
So see here, Grainger, their web price is $13.21 a pair. And so it gives you a lot of information. So, thing with the DLA, you want to make sure you're always comparing apples to apples. So you want to understand what the unit of measure is. You want to understand, make sure that the part number matches and everything else matches. Because if you ship the wrong thing to the DLA, you can get into a world, not of trouble, but it can really tie your business up, because you'll ship this stuff to the DLA. It doesn't get once it gets inspected, if they find any discrepancies, then they'll have what's called a litigation against your company, and it will be your responsibility, your financial responsibility to get that fixed, whether it be sending someone to the depot to do or to pick it up. Like, the government won't ship anything back to you for free, so you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. So it's good to make sure you're doing everything up front correctly. So this is the way you should do that. So I always recommend, double checking the part number that you see there, the item numbers, their part number, and then Showa is their manufacturer's name, even though it's underneath the Grainger brand, but the manufacturer is Showa. Okay. But this, based on this analysis, this is an exact match. So we are comparing apples to apples here. All right. The next step that I would recommend is looking at the unit of measure. All right. So let me go here. Let me click here, and that popped it up in another screen. And what's so cool about Logicom is that you're able to kind of go in and look really quickly at what the unit of measure is, which is each. Okay. So, sometimes they'll say case, or they'll say, carton, so you got to make sure you understand what they're asking for. And then, so we're talking exactly what we just saw on Grainger.com. Their price is a little higher. This unit price that you see here is an internal price to the DLA. And it hasn't been confirmed, but I believe that the DLA kind of acts as a distributor to the military. So the DLA will buy it from a certain price from the vendor, from their vendors, and then they would kind of, quote unquote, internally resell it to different branches of the government. So that's how the DLA kind of makes money internally. So this unit price is a stocking price that they would basically charge one of their customers who's buying through their distribution center. So don't look at this. This number is useless to us as vendors. Okay. Where it becomes important was by clicking this link, which is the procurement history. And the procurement history link is kind of cool with SEI Global, and you can see how the stuff just comes right at you just by clicking. They'll give you kind of a forecast from 2016 all the way, and I think I'm just going to kind of show you a little bit how this forecast works, to 2021. So they kind of stopped the forecast here. So they're probably going to have forecast data that's going to hit next year. That I guess this is kind of like history, from the past. Okay. I think you can go to, there are other websites, FPDS, and websites like that government has that kind of gives you more forecast data. But at least you can kind of see trends, and a lot of times the trends are repeatable year after year as it relates to it. But just really good historical information. So as you scroll down here, what SEI Global then provides, and again, you can find this through DIBS as well, all of the historical data as far as like who your incumbent suppliers or who your competitors are. And you'll notice that, they'll put the quantity, the unit price that the award was, the award date, and you can literally do a deep dive and find out more information about who Noble is, for example. It's always good to not know who your competition is, in my opinion. And so we know that we're going to need to probably, if you see, on average for the past couple of awards, between $11 and $12 is kind of where the sweet spot is. So, you have to go back to Grainger and try to negotiate a price point much less than that. You want to try to get around the, the $9 to $10 range with Grainger if you can.
Right. Right.
And Grainger's pricing will always be predicated off of volume, like your historical pricing, or sales volume that you do. So they have different tier levels of savings that they'll afford to you. Like if you spend 20 grand a year versus 50,000 a year versus 100,000, you're going to get different, price breaks and things like that. So it's just the nature of the supply industry. It just, no matter what company you go to, that's just the way it is, especially if you're not the actual, manufacturer, or you're not working directly with the manufacturer. Right. Now, in this case too, since the vendor is Showa, if you're really, I guess, if you know how to navigate and use, you know, the internet and go and find out who Showa is and see if you can go and work directly with Showa. Because believe it or not, you just may be able to work. They may be looking, you know, they may have an opening for new vendors. I haven't been on Grainger in a long time, so I'm gonna click Showa and see. Yeah, so Grainger just kind of showing you their whole entire lineup of Showa products that they represent. I wasn't sure if they may have given you some contact information on Showa. But you know what I would suggest doing here. All right, click here. Let's just do a search. Showa gloves. I'm curious to see if we can find anything on Google. Showa Group. Ah, here they are. This is probably the company right here. And what I can do, some of what we're talking about today, I'll put this in the chat for you. Chat over there. All right, so I would, you know, in addition to talking with Grainger, of course, then maybe reach out to Showa. Now, Showa may say, no, we don't sell to smaller companies. You got to go through some of our established, you know, distribution channels, but you just never know. It's always a good idea to pick up the phone and make a call. Mm-hmm. And so here I would click the contact here. You know, a lot of times you can tell, you know, they don't make it really easy to get in contact, especially with these web, you know, these web contact pages. But oh, great! Here's the nearest location, North America. So here's the 800 number.
Wow, they are in Menlo, Georgia. Interesting. And I say that because I'm from that neck of the woods. So that's interesting.
Yeah. So, you know, highly recommend giving them the phone call, maybe even shooting them an email. And well, the phone call is best, you know, and I would recommend if you call Showa as well as Grainger, introduce your company. Hey, you know, we're a government vendor and have an opportunity for one of my government customers. I'm interested in seeing if I can be set up as a dealer, you know, of your product line. You know, so and then
is it always necessary? Because I mean, especially I guess you got to know the competition. So like for this in particular, if they're not necessarily a competitor in the government space, I'm wondering if it's always wise to tell them who you're trying to get the product for.
No, and it's not wise. And so I always keep the name, keep who my customer is. That's my customer. It's because I'm their customer, so they shouldn't care about who the customer is. But I do let them know it's federal, because by saying federal, they already know that it's going to be bigger volumes. And they already know that Uncle Sam does not pay retail for anything.
Okay.
So I always kind of use that. Now, what's even more cool, check this out. So Showa, right? Let me show you how SEI Global, even though they're asking for Grainger, and we all know Grainger is not a manufacturer. So what the NSN is really doing is trying to find
what's down there. What's down there? Showa,
yeah. And there it is right there. Showa. It's right below. So now the DLA is letting you know that, hey, you know, Grainger has their internal part number, but this is the Showa part number, right? And so with Showa, you can even take a deeper dive than this. Let me show you something real quick. This is a cool little hack. Here, let me actually take this NSN. I'm gonna put it in a different notepad so I won't lose the data. So I can save as much time as possible for you. But let's show you another little hack as you're beginning to kind of get involved in this. I'm gonna clear this and I'm just gonna drop the cage code in there, Showa's cage code, and do a search. And look at how many different products. Let me put it in here, boom. So Showa has, well, it's not a lot. It's only one page, but this is roughly about maybe 30 or so items that the DLA recognizes as national stock numbers. Right. So what you'll find, the NSN game with the DLA is gold. So if you're able to kind of learn or find vendors that the DLA is actively buying, then you want to start tracking those vendors, right? And so this is where SEI Global gets really interesting, because now what you can do is literally go into Opportunity Manager And then you can create a watch list for Showa, because you're more than likely get a cheaper price working with Showa than you will with Grainger, right? So the goal is to get the cheapest price that you can. Now, there's no guarantee that Showa will do business with you, but hey, you know, this is just the way, the nature of the game. So what we're going to do here is just kind of show you how this works. When I click this here, let me click out of that. So I click here and click setup. It keeps putting the window on the other screen here. Sorry. Come on. Yeah, I just drag the screen over here. But the watch list name is Showa. I always click 30 days. I don't want it to store any opportunities that are over 30. They're older than 30 days. I always call them spoiled fish when they're past 30 days. Chances are the award won't be. You can't get the award. And then what you can do is do an import, which is another pop-up, and we're going to call this a cage. And I call this cage. And then the criteria is going to be the cage code. You just drop a cage code in there. So we're going to say, cool, we're going to save that as criteria that I want every day when SEI Global scrapes the DLA, they're going to be looking for any solicitations that are released where the government is looking to buy this particular cage code.
Okay.
And then sometimes contracting officers may not necessarily always use just the cage. So what I like to do is just do a complete closed feedback loop. And then what I would do is go here, which is so cool. You can, all this late data in here is downloadable into an Excel spreadsheet. So let me click here. And then what this does, open this up. And here, it's on my other screen. I got dual screens here. I'm gonna bring this over so you can see this. And so what it did there is just basically downloaded this data from SEI Global, and SEI Global will allow you to download 10,000 records at a time. All right, so we're well below that, and the FSC code and the NIIN code together combined make the NSN. So, so we're gonna highlight these, and this is our notepad we're working with today. I just drop those in there like that. And typically what I'll do is just, I like using notepads because it allows me to manipulate the data and get rid of all the formatting and all that kind of stuff, gets it all out the way. And so what I do now is just take, and you'll notice some of these are duplicates because this database comes straight from the federal government. So the federal government is not always as, like as accurate sometimes, or sometimes they have duplicate records. So you'll notice that these are like duplicate records in here, right? So that's where I just highlight the raw data straight, that's pulled from SEI Global, pulls from the federal government. So it's not an SEI Global issue, it's a federal government issue. But it's not really an issue. I mean, this is just a little bit of a quick hack. And then in here, I'll just do this and I'll say number, boom. And then what we'll do is do that and drop those NSNs in there like that. And then I just I love Excel because Excel helps me to just manipulate the data, and I'm removing the duplicates. So there are 9 duplicate records. You can put duplicates in SEI Global, but I'm just, my background's engineering and I just like things to be perfect.
Right,
So,
I understand.
yeah, and so we're gonna go into SEI Global, back into Showa, go into the setup, just this little pop-up that keeps going over there. Let me click here. The pop-up should show, right? It keeps going over here for some reason, but and now what we're going to do is import another pop-up, and then we're going to call this NSN. All right, and so here that's our criteria. We just drop that down, and literally you can import a file too if you wanted to. I kind of like to manipulate the data the way I'm showing you. There are just multiple ways to skin the cat, which is so cool about SEI Global. And then I just click save. Now I have the cage code criteria and the NSNs that are related to Showa. And I can then click email account owner. So anytime there is a new opportunity that hits the street every day, you can, when you check your inbox, whatever email address you set up with your account, it will email it directly to your email. And if you have other members of your team that are working, you say, hey, if you have another, say Mike works with you. You say, hey, Mike, I'd like you to, you're responsible for Showa. You can then go in here and set up your alerts. So here you can add new alerts. You can put a new person in here by just saying, your company, first name, last name, their email address, boom. And it automatically will send them an alert to give them an assignment to go into SAI Global and to data mine that data, you see. So anyway, we'll click that in there. But that's just how simple you can do that. Now, back to your original question. Let's go back to Grainger. Yeah, because the pricing on the web, of course, you could use this pricing because that's current pricing. If you just wanted to see what it's like to submit a bid, by all means, you could use the $13.21 a pair. Now, what this does not show on Grainger is what the shipping cost would be. So I would recommend reaching out to Grainger to get a full quote. That way, you're covering all the bases. All right. Now, another thing to note with the actual solicitation itself, I'm gonna click the link here, which is right through Opportunity Manager. Sometimes Opportunity Manager, because what it's doing is actually connecting to the DIBS database. Some days it works a little better than others. Like right now, it's kind of like trying to connect, and you'll see that it may take a little time for it to load. So typically what I'll do is just have this window up, open, and then I'll also go in and just highlight the actual solicitation number. And this goes straight to DIBS. DIBS. So while we're in DIBS, I'll just go ahead and log in. I don't think I have my, oh yeah, cool. Oh, and another thing too, once you really get involved with DIBS, Sabrina, DIBS, you'll start to have non-public buyer directed solicitations, meaning they are reaching out to us to bid on things and not even posting it publicly. So that means that's when you really get more involved with DIBS, with the DLA. And so it's just kind of cool. This is one that we won in the past, and they want us to bid on it again.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, DIBS is kind of cool. Now SCI Global won't link to the non-public because they can only provide you with public stuff. But right. I kind of show you that DIBS is kind of cool too. That now what I'm interested, the reason why I came here is that I wanted to look at the solicitation itself. So let's go here, solicitation, go, and click go. Yeah, okay. And then we'll say records to view. And what I'm interested in doing at this stage is not bidding on it, but I want to take a look at the actual solicitation itself, which is right here. Because a couple of things you want to know about this when you're looking to bid on this. This is the solicitation. It tells you a lot of the pertinent information of what's important to the DLA. So you'll know what to do, what to put into your request for quote when you send it to Grainger. And so they're telling you the gloves, they're telling you primary source, that's the SOA number. And then here's the Grainger number. Secondary source, they even give you the cage code. They'll show up, both of them will work. You can bid either one. If you notice here, the unit measures each. Inspection point destination, it's good to know this because sometimes they'll say inspection point is origin or acceptance point is origin, meaning that they want the DCMA to get involved and come to your place of business to inspect the materials.
Okay.
All right. So when you're first getting started, I highly recommend you avoid inspection point origin and acceptance point origin. You want to focus on destination opportunities while you're kind of learning the ropes, because it's another layer of complication, or not complication, but complexity when you're doing inspection point origin. I mean, it's not terrible. It's just that you have to get in contact with your local DCMA rep, schedule a time for them to come to your location. He's going to come with blueprints, ask you a bunch of questions, and you got to sign it. It's just a little bit more energy you have to put into it. And if the margins are not where you need them to be, you can lose money just on the time,
Okay, yeah. I don't have a big spot right now. I'm kind of working from home. So
Yeah, and that's fine. Working from home is fine. I mean, and it's the American way. I mean, as long as you have the material that the government cares about, they don't care if you're working in the warehouse, working at home, working in your bathroom. It don't matter. When I first got involved with the DLA, I actually had a home office as well. And so I would have the DCMA rep in St. Louis come to my house, literally in my living room. I remember having materials there, and as long as you're in accordance to the terms and conditions of the contract, they don't care exactly. They don't care where it's at, And so anyway, let me scroll down some more. And then they tell you, other information like the freight shipping address is really where I want to get to. So when you're working with Grainger, Grainger does have the ability to do the mil-spec packaging and labeling for you, but that's another level of your relationship with Grainger. But as just starting out, they probably would not provide those services to you. You kind of have to be in the federal program that they allow those services to you. So you would have the material be shipping to your place of business in DC. All right. And so, but just FYI, this is where you can kind of get shipped to addresses and things like that if you have bigger items that are something that you wouldn't want being shipped to your home, right? Or let's say even if you had a contract that you were working on where they were buying, let's say, steel chase cases or cabinets, big, heavy equipment, you could find a local vendor in DC that could receive that material for you. So for example, in St. Louis, we have a company for items that we can't do within our facility that may be needed to get crated and shipped overseas. And so it's a local company that we've been working with for the past 20 years, and we can have things shipped directly to those guys. And we have a contractual relationship of how to price that all out to make sure that their fees are captured in our unit pricing.
Now, is there a way to find like a list of those? Or how do you normally find your vendor that you can work with, like the acceptance shipment?
Okay, good question. And this is what my first thought is packaging, repackaging.
Yeah.
Vendors. You said you're in DC?
Yes.
And Washington. DC. I would start there and see. Here's a preferred repackager, but this chemical stuff, Uline packaging, Pack and Ship. So here's Gold Spot Pack and Ship. But they don't have very good ratings there. Best packaging companies in DC. So I would go to Google first and then just kind of pick up the phone and let them know what you're trying to do. And if they can't do it, typically they'll say, we don't do it, but hey, I know someone else that does. It's just, that's typically how you're able to find the resources that you're looking for. Just going on Google and making phone calls and having that human contact with folks.
Now, when you're doing this, say if you got to, have it shipped and then have them ship it, how do you then build that into your cost or your proposal?
Okay, good question. All right, so I'm trying to think of a way we could do this because it becomes something that you learn over time to know kind of what a cost would be. So my first thought when I look at this and I say, okay, it's 150 units. And then when I go to Grainger, I want to look at the unit weight. So I want to kind of get a feel for how much a pair of these gloves weigh. Sometimes Grainger will show that. Let's see, weight. These are okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this is, these gloves are 18 mil thick. I would imagine it's not real heavy, but you got to multiply it times 150, right? So,
so now, is there? Sorry if I'm asking a lot of questions here.
Yeah, no.
So when it comes to like you got each, is there a particular way, and it may be in the announcement, that they want it packaged? Like, do they want it packaged individually, like when you send them over in the box, so they want them individually paired? Or
good question. Good question. And I'll show you where you find that. Okay, so and this is Showa's actual spec sheet on the product. And they don't even show you what the weight is, but I would imagine these type of gloves probably don't weigh more than maybe not even a half a pound. You know, like they go all the way up your forearm.
yeah,
I wouldn't say these gloves are a pound. You know, a pound seems to be quite heavy. But I would probably, let me pull up a calculator here. I'm answering your question in 1 second.
okay, no problem.
Pull this in. So I would say 150 gloves, and rule of thumb, you know, I'll just estimate it 5 pounds equals, you know, we're talking about 75-pound shipment. You know, that doesn't include the cardboard box and all that kind of stuff. So you may add another 5 pounds on that just for, you know, the shipping materials, you know, whatever might be in the box. So you're talking like 80 pounds, you know. So you would put this order in Grainger, you know, your factor, and it's going to be 80-pound box, you know, stuff that's coming to your house. And so then you have to kind of think, you know, what does that, you know, for you to ship it through FedEx, UPS, or the United States Postal Service. I don't really always recommend the USPS though, because the DLA, especially if it's going to, like, you know, a naval air station, your best bet would be FedEx or UPS or DHL. Right. You know, sometimes the post office has a difficult time getting your materials where they need to go.
Right.
So then, you know, then that's another step. I would recommend contacting FedEx or UPS and getting you a company account with those guys, and then negotiating, you know, rates to make sure you're getting some pretty good shipping rates. Right. And then by using the, you know, the UPS, you know, website, or they have the software that you can download to your computer, like the app. Then you go into your account, you put in all this, you know, the rough dimensions and the weight, and that way it kicks out what a reshipping cost would be. Now, to your point of how to get it to your house, that's where you reach out to Grainger and say, hey, Grainger, I'd like to buy 150 of these. This is the ship to address. I need a formal quote to come from you. And let me show you I think we actually, for today, I can show you an official quote that we have, because we do business with Grainger as well. Okay. And so I'll show you kind of what a Grainger quote looks like. So this quote was back in June. We had one more recent. No, I got one more recent than June. I don't know, 1 second. I was in the wrong. Where's Grainger? Here's a Grainger one here. Yeah, that one adds up to yesterday, 9/15. So I got one of my teammates, Sequoia. You know, she's working with Grainger, and so let me just open this up. All right, so cool. So this is what happens with Grainger. You'll reach out to them, and you know, they'll give you a quote. You know, and I will tell you this: Grainger doesn't always provide you with the best pricing. You know, but it's just the nature of the beast. They kind of own the market, and they do what they do. And so I always try to kind of find out who Grainger's source is and go straight to the source. Right. But we always have Grainger be a part of it. That way we can compare, you know, pricing and things like that. Sometimes we do get a pretty good break with Grainger. But this is what happens. So Grainger will basically, you know, tell you, you know, whatever you ask them, what quantity you want. They'll give you what their unit price will be. And sometimes they don't even provide you with better savings than what's on their website. I'm curious to see on this one here. Sequoia, she'll know, you know, whether to buy it from them or not, you know, but.
So they didn't even include what the shipping would be?
We probably get free shipping with our account. Okay. But yeah, with yours, they probably will, you know, because we've been doing business with Grainger for a long time. Yeah. And a lot of times when you're in the federal programs, that's what they do. Okay. Or no, actually, this one is different. So we will deliver. So they change it depending on the manufacturer. So here they'll tell you freight terms, prepaid, and add. Okay. So what that means is that whatever our negotiated rate is, which it could be zero for this, but it's just standard language that they put in here. And so great, like before we release the order, if their unit price is great, Sequoia will go back to them and make sure that, everything is where it needs to be before we actually do a quote release to the DLA. But I'm curious to see if we got any savings. That's 7720 there. I'm gonna go to Grainger's website and just throw this in there. It's a little different than what we're talking about. But I'm just curious to see if we got a better price. No, so so they
gave you extra price.
So they didn't actually give us a better deal on this. Maybe their margins are so low that this is the best they can do. Now, let me show you a quick little hack. A lot of people don't know this about Grainger. Grainger has another company that they work with. And here I got all these tabs open. You ever heard of Zoro?
Yes.
ZORO.com. This company is owned by Grainger.
Mm.
All right. And so you can go to Zoro and drop a Grainger part number in there. And watch this. Oh. They didn't come back as a. Hold on. They don't always have all the product parts in there, but I'm gonna put the manufacturer's number in here and see if anything comes back. Sometimes they do have. Yeah, here it is, right here.
Well, that's a little cheaper than it was on the other site, right? It says out of stock over there, but I think over there was 13 on Grainger. On here it's 1169.
So we go here. We go to Grainger. I don't know if they say that they have it in stock. Expected to arrive Thursday, September 22nd.
This is next. Yeah, it's like a week out. More than
likely, they may have stock of it. I'm not sure exactly, but this company, Zoro, is a subsidiary of Grainger, so they work directly with Grainger.
Okay.
And Grainger did this with Zoro in order to not affect, like it's like branding. You can have, like cheaper prices at one brand and higher at another. This is the way that they try to, I guess, manipulate the market in a way to not tarnish the Grainger catalog pricing. So.
Right.
Anyway, it's out of stock. Item has an extended lead time. Typically, when you get into situations like this, it would be just giving Zoro a call and say, hey, what do you think the lead time would be, on it? I would say, being that Grainger.com says September 22nd, I would put, 30, 60 days on it, on the lead time on it. But yeah, 1169. And Zoro they will not provide cheaper pricing than what's on their website. So this is probably the best rate that you'll be able to get here. As a matter of fact, I'll put this in the chat for you too. All right. So I would, definitely would use this price. Now, let's see here. Another thing. Well, I wouldn't say use that price, but that's a good point to start. But definitely contacting Showa and going straight to the manufacturer is where I would go. I would definitely start, right? Now, you asked a question about the packaging. Let me scroll up. Normally, you can find that in here. Quantity unit pack. Where is that? Normally, they'll put it right in here, in this section here. I would say here the QUP is going to be 1 because the quantity is each. So they're more than likely going to want each glove to be packaged in its own packaging. And I don't know how Grainger or Showa would ship it. I would imagine they're going to ship all the gloves, all 150, in just one big box. And they're not going to put each individual glove in its own bag.
So would it be one glove or like 2 gloves as a pair?
A pair. I'm sorry, it'll be a pair.
Okay.
Yeah, a left hand and right hand. So 1 pair. Even though they're saying each, their each is going to be, well, you know what? That's, yeah. So see, the web price is per pair. And then when we go to Zoro, 1 pair.
Okay.
So 1 pair is going to be each. I mean,
right.
And I'm glad that you said that, because you're seeing the DLA can kind of be a little confusing, because you're thinking that, hey, okay, the DLA is saying each, so you're thinking not pair.
Right. Because the government is real their way of thinking sometimes is a little off.
Yeah, it's a little off, but yeah, I mean, I always lend to looking how the vendors are doing it. Yeah, because this is one where you could think that they're going to buy 75 pair, and that's not the case. Yeah, here. Yeah, so that's good there. And now, yeah, normally they do put the quantity unit pack kind of like in this section here, but I would say definitely you're going to have the left hand, the right hand in one bag.
Okay, so what else in here that I mean, I know when I'm going through this, I'm one of those people, I like to read everything. I want to make sure, like, what are like the main sections that I really need to like focus on. I know like the delivery location. Now what is I know I'm kind of all over the place when it's talked about the shipping requirements or the destination when it says FOB.
Mm-hmm.
Where is that when if the government will pay for it, it determines that you pay for it?
Good question. All right. So whenever I open up a solicitation, the first thing I do is I scroll to page one. Page one is great. So they're going to tell you right here in block 7, the delivery is FOB destination. Destination means that your pricing that you provide to the DLA must include shipping.
Okay.
And FOB stands for freight on board destination. Okay. And then if the box other was checked, then that means it's FOB origin, meaning that the government will pay for it to be shipped from your location to whatever depot or whatever location, in this case, at the Navy base. The government will pay for that. They will provide you with a shipping label, which typically will be FedEx. I think FedEx has the contract with the DLA right now.
Okay, so it's better for it to be FOB.
It's better. Well, I wouldn't say it's better or worse. I mean, it's much better, of course, if it's other.
Okay.
Because you don't have to worry about factoring in shipping costs from your office location to wherever the government wants you to ship the repackaged materials.
Okay. So, all right. Let me back up. So I guess I think I confused. So FOB is, say that again for me. FOB destination
means freight on board destination, which equates to that you have to pay for the shipping.
Right, and then other, the government.
The other is FOB origin, which means they just don't call it origin, but other means that the government will ship. And you'll see in parentheses where it says see schedule. So let's scroll down here, and the schedule that they're talking about is going to be on this last page here. Well, is it the last? Well, hold on here. It might be. They're going to talk about this right here. So the FDT program, transport requirements. Mm-hmm. What this means is that it's going to go through VSM, which is the vendor shipping module.
Okay.
It's where you're going to download all of the packaging data, including the shipping label, if this was an origin contract. All right, so this is not an origin contract, so that's why they don't talk about the VSM in here.
I have that down here as a question to ask you about VSM to understand. I heard somebody talk about it on one of them.
Yeah, believe it or not, I actually have a video that I just recorded yesterday that talks about VSM, so it'll be on YouTube.
Okay. All right, well, I'll look for that video then.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. Now, so my other question is, because I'm very, very new here. So what, I guess in the process of getting started, trying to be able to build my connections and network. So just say, for instance, if I bid on this and And even though I don't necessarily have a relationship currently, if they come back to me and ask me for references, how do I go about that when I don't have any references and I'm new?
Okay, so you mean as far as the vendors that you're trying to buy from, or the DLA?
The DLA. So if I submit a bid and then they come back and say, I don't know if this is what they do. I'm just throwing stuff out here because some people ask for references. So if they came back to me and asked me for references for past performance or something like that, what do I do at that point if I don't have any?
Okay, so one thing that the DLA, well, at the I guess the consumable level, for a contract like this one, they wouldn't ask for references. All right. So what the DLA will do here is ask for traceability.
Okay.
All right. Traceability, and that's a good thing. Whenever you get an email from a contracting officer asking for traceability, let me show you an example what that looks like real quick, because I should have one for you. Excuse me. We get traceability requests a lot. See here. Trace, ABILITY. I'm trying to do a quick search to see if I can find one in here. Yeah, here's one. Okay, cool. So this is one that we received on Tuesday, September 13th. Yeah, let me make that a little larger. Yeah. All right. So what happens is whenever a contract officer reaches out to you, or contract specialist, I should say, reaches out to you, they will ask, and this is what will happen with you as well. And it doesn't happen all the time. It's almost like a random sampling. Like sometimes we get awards without traceability. Sometimes, they do ask for traceability. So in this case, he says, hey, I need, he's requesting traceability for this purchase request number, solicitation number, this, and he wants us to provide him with traceability documentation back to the manufacturer, right? And so that's his way of making sure that you are shipping apples to apples. All right. And so let me see if we do have a response to him so you can see kind of what we did here. So they won't really ask you for references, Sabrina. It'll be more, let's make sure that you can deliver what you say you can deliver. Okay. That's what they're doing. So let me see if I got traceability. Yeah. So here is one where we are working with a vendor by the name of MSC Direct, which I highly recommend. They're like a Grainger. That's another company that you might want to get involved with as well. And let's see here. So you'll see here when he originally reached out to us, this guy had a lot of questions for us, So he originally said, hey, provide traceability. And then we responded to him. And then he says, okay, well, hey, I need you to answer some more questions because I see, I've never bought this particular product from your company before. So it wasn't like references, but this is what his questionnaire here. Yeah, this is a great question that you just asked. Actually, let me see if I can pull the original document that he asked for. Wasn't that? It wasn't this one. Yeah. Okay. So after I made my initial response to him when he asked for traceability, I said, hey, okay, we will be providing you traceability. Give us, 24 to 48 hours. And then he sends another email. And then he says, hey, I'm contacting you in regards to this PR number. You are unrated in SPARS in this FSC and are required to complete a vendor capability questionnaire. Please see attached document, right? So very rarely, SPARS is a system that is like a rating system where the DLA, whenever you perform or you get a contract and like let's say if you have any litigation issues with a contract, or if you ship on time, or you ship if you're late or any kind of issues, you'll get a SPARS rating that will make the contractor feel more comfortable with awarding a particular product to you, right? And this is not opening. Hold on here. Oh, open. Okay, cool. So this is what he did. He basically, Sequoia was working on this. So he basically said, hey, I need you to answer these questions. So this might be something similar to what you're asking, where they're saying your references, but he just kind of wanted us to provide, information to answer these questions. And every contracting officer asks you different questions. Like I had never seen them even ask for my, for a resume. Yeah, that's for a resume. I was like, okay, so you just, just answer wherever they ask. You just give them what they ask, And so what I did here was I took that and said, hey, Anthony, good afternoon. Thanks for coming. Here are the answers to your, unrated vendor questionnaire in green. So I just basically, send them all this information, attach my resume, attach our capability statement, because our capability statement has a lot of the answers to a lot of the questions. He was wondering past performance stuff, like, have you done anything like this in the past or whatever, so that kind of is to your point that they may ask for those, but guess what? You can only just give them what you have, and then either he's going to award it or not. Fortunately, we were able to, answer each one of the questions because we've been doing this for a long time. But don't think that this is a standard process. Like I was actually shocked to get these questions. I'm like, and we've been doing business with DLF for 20 years, and they're still asking these questions. Just
right.
So. But this is also.
So now, was this a new company for you guys? Is maybe why they asked these questions?
No, it's a new FSC code that he didn't have a history of working with our company with. You see, so we have, and I don't even remember what this product was. Believe it or not. Let me open this up real quick and see. This was a Empire level. Yeah, this is a new vendor for us too. So Sequoia, she must have pulled this off, so she's been working with us for a while,
Okay.
So she found new business for the company, basically. And it's not a really big contract, like I think we get them for $2.94, and I don't know what the award was going to be. Actually, I do remember seeing this. I think we did pretty good on it. I don't know what we bid on it, but here, $2.94. This is the NSN. I'm curious to see what
now they were only asking for 20. Is that the quantity that they were looking to buy?
Good question. Let me see. Quantity of 20. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do here is go back into our trusty tool. I'm just gonna throw in the NSN into Opportunity Manager, and here's the 20 that's there. And then we're gonna click here. We're going into here. We're going to search solicitations. I've probably been logged out. No, I'm still in. And do a search here. Okay, error. DIBS does that. Yeah, the DIBS database sometimes gives you.
Oh, yeah. As I've been in there, and it's do all kinds of stuff. So I know.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder if they're getting hacked or something. But when it's working good. Normally you could just go out of it and go back in and you're good to go. That wasn't what I was trying to do. I was actually trying to look at this. And yeah, so it was a quantity of 20. I think, I'm sure Sequoia bid on this one. Here, let me go back and see. I'm curious to go to the quotes. And then I'm gonna put the solicitation number in there. It's a DIBS. We gotta put our cage code in. Here's 1, 3, 2. I don't know if he awarded this thing yet or not. No, it's still open. So, so she put a quote in at $494.20, and that would be a clear 494.40. I'm sorry, divided by 20. So we priced it at $24. So we're getting them for $2 and we're selling them for $24. And he did a traceability to us. So there's a big probability that we will get the award, right?
So, and I see that because, I know like for me, like I said, I'm trying to start small because I'm just trying to get my foot in the door. And I like the fact that he did like this small bid because, like some people get in there and they see stuff that's, they're looking for stuff that's got 30, 40, or 3,000, 4,000 quantity, and they're looking to get that because they're trying to make the big money. And there's nothing wrong with that because that's what you're going to do eventually. But I think I'm wondering if just like a lot of times, like stuff like this, that's smaller numbers kind of stay behind because some people just don't want to touch it because it's not really in their mind making the money.
Exactly. That's what the DLA is so cool, because it's really one of those contracting vehicles that it's not really the big fish. It really isn't. It's going to be quantity. You're just going to get a lot of fish, and then a lot of fish add up. But how much time does it really take you to do it? It doesn't take you a lot of time. A lot of, you can get the pricing via email. A lot of it's just email back and forth. And if you bid like 5 contracts a day, and then by the end of the week, that's just the way the game goes. But you will get some bigger contracts. Like we've gotten awarded contracts where we made 15 grand profit on a contract. I mean, it all depends on the vendors that you're working with and your ability to kind of, like even today, how we went into Grainger, and then I took it from Grainger to Showa, and it's a matter of just getting in with the, following the information trail. Yeah.
So then my other question to you would be, again, since I'm new in this space, what systems, how do you get paid from the system?
Okay, good question. All right, so from an invoicing perspective, and I do definitely have to do a YouTube video on that one of these days. But there is a service, and you have to get an account, and you go into the procurement integrated enterprise environment, and LA as well. This is kind of WAF, the World Wide Area Workflow. But here, I'll go ahead and just kind of log in. We have a CAC card here. Let me log in. Here, I gotta put in my code. Yeah, we're also a FedMall vendor. We got, we're in FedMall and some other spaces, but you would go into WAF, Wide Area Workflow, and this is how you would invoice your contracts.
Okay.
So in order to get access to WAF, you have to basically start at the PIEE level, get your access to PIEE, and then you can request access to WAF, and then they'll open up a portal for you to get into WAF. And then once you get into WAF, you basically, you'll get access through the PIEE. And I don't know how all of it is integrated because we've been with WAF for many, many years. But once you go into that, to answer your question, it's really simple. You go into your vendor part here, you create a document, and you literally put in your contract number, whatever that contract number may be. And there's some contracts that were already preloaded in here. And once you put in your contract number without the dashes, you click next, and then it'll find that contract, and then you're able to put all your pricing information in there and submit it via WAF. Now, once you do get a contract and once you get set up with WAF and all that good stuff, if you need some assistance, because the government does not provide you with training on how to use WAF.
Oh, they don't really provide a lot of training on a lot of things.
Yeah, you have to literally figure this out. And I remember back in the day when I was figuring it out, I would click the wrong thing, and then my invoices would get hung up and stuff like this. So I highly recommend when you're ready to submit your first invoice, reach out to me, and we can do a one-on-one where I can make sure that you're checking the right boxes so that you don't get your invoices hung up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be reaching out to you because I want to try to bid on this glove one. Just kind of get my feet wet. Since it gives me a little time to kind of look at it, go and read. I mean, I got a whole list of some over here that I pulled out that's due like the end of the month going into October. Just wanted, just like you were saying, just throw some stuff out there and see what happens. This is the only way that I'm going to learn, by practicing. So, and they're kind of small things, and I just want to be able to test. And this also helps me build my past performance. So I'm looking at it from that perspective as well. So, Question for you. So now with the SAI Global System, what's the I guess the price on that? Because you talked about it, but you never said what the pricing was.
Yeah, and the reason why I don't say the pricing, because I'm not in control of the pricing.
Okay.
So what we do typically is provide you guys with the referral form. Mm-hmm. And from there, you fill that out and we get you in contact with your onboarding specialist that works directly with SEI Global. And that's where they will connect with you, figure out, your needs, the kind of business you have and that kind of thing. And then they'll be able to offer you a price. Now, with that referral, you'll get a 10% discount just because you are coming through our masterclass as well as working directly with us, or I should say with yours truly, with me. And I will then be able to assist you with getting your account set up, providing you with more training, more know-how, so that you can hit the ground running versus spending countless hours trying to figure it out. Sometimes it's just good to have someone there that you can reach out to. And, we'd be glad to provide, I'd be glad to provide that, actually honored to provide that to you, Sabrina. Another thing too, what I recommend, here, let me bring it up real quick. Let me see here. And this tool that I talked about it in the training, and I just have to show it to you because it's like golden.
So now, is this your tool?
Yes.
Your company's tool? Okay. I was going to ask about that one next.
Yeah, this is a tool that we all use in-house. And the tool is so cool in that, so for example, this was this is a vendor that I think probably working on a couple of days ago. We work with a company by the name of Hubble. Hubble was very, very difficult to get a arrangement to do business with Hubble. They protect it. They protect their market. We had been working with these guys trying to get into the door for years, and we finally got in with them. Wow. And so what Hubble does, the government buys a lot of Hubble electrical products. So that might be something that you can pursue on your end as well. Hubble electrical products, I recommend it. And so with our tool, in the event when you're able to, let me backtrack a little bit here. Okay, so the first thing in SEI Global, if we had created a Hubble watch list, for example, you would have a lot of these fish in the Hubble watch list. And let's just pretend the carrier is Hubble, right? So you would click on here and you would have probably hundreds of opportunities in here. And you'll see for carrier, there's 297 fish that are in here now. Now, some of these fish may be a little older. Some of them may be a little fresher and things like that. I mean, 9, 12, but there's 297 of them. What's so cool about SEI Global, you're able to just hit the download button. And what that does, it creates this watch list. And I know we're a little bit over time, but hey, I'm having a great time with you. So
I appreciate it. I got time.
Okay, cool. All right. And so here, what we'll do is just download all those fish, those 297 fish that are here, right? And so you can see down there, it's 297, tells you, boom. So that's all your fish. Now, when I look at it, I see that we don't need all of them. Like you will see in this quantity, this is the quantity column. Once it stops, sometimes they'll throw in non-DLA opportunities. And this is with the Naval Support Group Weapons Support Team. So what I like about this is that it gives you email addresses to these contracting officers where you can do some guerrilla marketing. So they are buying Hubble, but not through DLA. So you would basically be buying this stuff through, let me share this website. And you probably have heard of it since you work with the federal government. Here, I'm gonna just pull this up real quick, let you see. There's another database that you can bid on, and it's the NECO, NECO. And NECO is another place where you can bid on items that the government that the Navy, it's Navy centric, where the Navy's looking to buy. And I think when you scroll down, it'll tell you what they're trying to buy. Where is that at? I think I may have scrolled past it. We don't do a lot of business with this agency, I have in the past won some contracts here or there. We're a Ability One distributor, so we do a lot more Ability One with the Navy. But where is it? They want to buy. Here it is. National stock number. There it is, right there. Boom. And they're buying some kind of reciprocating compressor. So then you just do here. So you can see why we don't do a lot of business, because they don't give a lot. It's sometimes get a little confusing for the untrained eye.
Right.
But here I'm gonna go back into SAI Global. We're gonna drop that into SIN. I'm curious to see if this, clear. If this is a Hubble item. No, it's Carrier. So why? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting confused. We're working with Carrier. So this is a Carrier item. So the Navy is looking to buy a lot of things actually. Where is that? How many? What quantity was that? Line item 1. That stock number. No, I think that was just one they were looking to buy. Yeah, I don't really. Yeah, 1.
Yeah, 1 unit.
Yeah. That's all they're looking to buy there. But you can see, when you do the innocent research, this is the stocking price within the DLA, 28,000 for one of these guys. So if you got a relationship with Carrier, as I showed in my masterclass, or you have an HVAC vendor that you can find in your backyard there, that may be a national vendor, I recommend you, that might be a great source for you too, Sabrina, to find a company that can deal with Carrier, with Trane, any kind of HVAC equipment. And you can link with those guys and be able to establish a business relationship to be able to get price quotes on Carrier equipment. We had a company in Atlanta that we used to do a lot of business with Carrier, and I would hit the company, they went out of business. But if you can find those companies that are really, good at HVAC, that's golden with the DLA, by the way.
Okay.
Okay, so back to my point I was making. So we downloaded all this data, these fish. And so the way the spreadsheet works, I'm not gonna bring in the Navy stuff because that doesn't work with my spreadsheet very well. So I'm just gonna take those fish from the downloaded straight from SAI Global. And now we're gonna go into our tool, and you'll see down here, I have a raw data tab. And we're just gonna just drop that data right in there. And so then I'll scroll over here. And then what we'll do is the way the tool is set up, you gotta go to data. You just gotta manipulate that and just get rid of those little carrots. Some one little step that we have in there. And then we go to the, this is kind of our data sheet. And then what I do here is just put in Carrier. And then I'm gonna just take this all the way down here. But actually, before I do that, there's one more thing I want to make sure, because there's no sense in having fish that are spoiled. So here, I look at the response date and then just kind of click. And so we're gonna get rid of stuff that's old. So you'll see some of these are old fish. The response date is expired. I may not have updated the tool to remove some of the old fish. So what we want to do here is just look at what's new. So today is the 16th. So we don't want to get rid of these fish because the response date is by the 16th. I sometimes go a few days beyond the 16th because the government doesn't always award. And this is just a rule of thumb. We sometimes have RFQs or solicitations that we bid on. It takes the government 90 days. They'll reach out to us 90 days later and say, hey, look, as a matter of fact, the one that he was asking for the traceability on, we did that one in March, and he just started asking for traceability in September, you see.
Wow.
So it's not always that these are spoiled fish, but I typically, don't like to really work with stuff that's so far back in the past. I kind of like to work with fresher fish and just kind of a starting point. So what we'll do is get rid of all these old fish out of here. I'll just delete them, delete cells. And now we'll put this in here, boom, boom, boom. But that's why the DLA is a numbers game. You don't want to just bid on one. You want to bid every day. Make it kind of part of your business cycle. and then when you get a bunch of bids out there, if you got like 100 of them out there, just sit and man, you'll be amazed at how the awards start rolling in. They'll just start rolling in, and I get rid of all that. So this tool basically brings everything into kind of what's palatable, so there was like 297. Now we kind of dumbed it down to 41, so now it doesn't make it such a daunting task. And then I can take another step by throwing away the really small fish. Even though some of these might be $28,000 and all that kind of stuff, I don't care about that. I just want to look at numbers, because I know if you're 10 or more, it may be worth my while. The 1, 2, 3, these are fish I'm just going to throw back.
Right.
So I'll just boom. And that way now it makes it even more palatable for me, right? And so it went from 297 to whatever it was to now to 19 records. So now what I can do is to start looking at these one by one. I'll take the NSN, I'll go back into SCI Global, I'll do a quick search, and this is what you would be doing for, let's say, for the Grainger items and Showa, same kind of thing. And so now we know Carrier Corporation. So we'll go ahead and take Carrier Corporation. We're going to take that back to our here, and we know everything here is going to be Carrier Corporation. So we drop that in there. Go back to my, and you have two different part numbers for Carrier Corporation. Actually, yeah, I wouldn't put this one here. It may be one of these of the two, but because I'm just moving quickly through the fish, and it's really more for my vendor that I'll be working with, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to drop that in there. Boom. And then I'm doing the research right now to know what the price points need to be. And this is where my tool comes into effect. So I know the unit measures each, which is great. Now we want to look at procurement history. And I'm going to scroll down here and see the incumbent supplier is this company. They won this bid back in March, and there was $49.91. So what I do in my spreadsheet, what's the date? March was, I'm sorry, wrong. We go in here, March 29th. I'm sorry, April 29th. Yeah, 2021, so April 29th. So I'm gonna put that in here, April 29th, 2021. That's just like the raw data. And then $49.91 was the unit price. Now, so my tool has now taken this particular fish, and you see where it says, don't touch this line, because this line, per the design of the spreadsheet, when you copy this line and paste it all the way down, it keeps everything kind of rolling, because it's pulling all this data from the raw data.
Oh, it's pulling it from the other sheet.
Yeah. So if you look in here, you'll see, it's equals raw data this, So that's why I say don't touch this line, because you can delete these lines as you like mine them, but that first line, don't touch the first line though.
Okay.
And so now what it does is we take this line, we can copy it, and we're gonna paste that line right here. All right, so now what it's doing is saying, okay, this is the fish that I'm working on that I just data mined. I know it's Carrier Corporation. These are the two part numbers that could be, and we're gonna let our HVAC vendor figure that out for us, right? Okay. And we know the pass award was this, pass award price was this, and the unit measures each. So now the tab that you want to send to your vendors is this tab. So you'll notice that this tab is now collecting all that data. It's 129 units. Now you notice that the pass award date, I changed it. I put in minus 30 days. And this is because we're probably not going to be the only vendor that your supplier is working with. So we want to try to make it seem like it's a different opportunity in a way.
Okay.
You see, so this is how you start to separate yourself from them knowing who your customer is. Okay. Because there's like, okay, well, the last one, pass award, was in April. This was in March. This is a different opportunity. It's just something that we've come up with as a way of a competitive advantage in the marketplace. And then you'll also notice the recommended price point, which on this tab, we knew that the pass award was $49.91. So I'm letting my vendors know, I want your price to be around $32. And what that is a 35% savings is what I'm trying to negotiate with this guy. Because I know I need to have his price around here in order for him to make money.
Right.
And so this is just a standard form that I created that basically, we'll put in, you can go in and manipulate all of it. You want to avoid manipulating too much because you don't want to throw the sheet off too much, but I'm giving them, hey, I need to get pricing back by, Monday noon. You can make that whatever you want it to be for your company, whatever relationship you have with your vendor. And then you can put in the quote reference number, which is the NSN. It takes it right from this tab. So, all this data that's here is just pre-populated.
Okay.
Yep. And then the next step is this, it's because we do have some vendors that we work with that do carrier type work. So then what I'll do is send this, and then I'll say HVAC.
So HVAC. You have some that you already got saved into your mailing list.
Yeah, into my mailing list, and we also already have accounts set up with them and relationships with them. So, I mean, it's so many fish that we can't do it all.
Yeah. So now up here at the top where you have the shipping to, so is that where you located, or that's where, so is that standard, the St. Louis, Missouri?
Yeah, so our warehouse is in St. Louis, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm asking them to price this, to have this stuff shipped to St. Louis. And then in St. Louis, because I'm in Dallas, so Sequoia and my team, they're in St. Louis. So I will have this stuff shipped to St. Louis upon award, and then we get it packaged that way.
Okay.
And then so the subject header is all in there. So this is what this tool does. It kind of makes your life easy. Now, this is something you can create on your own, but it's already built. So why create it, if you don't have to?
I don't like to recreate the wheel.
Yeah. And so then what I do is just click send this sheet.
Mm-hmm.
So what it does is going to send the sheet to my suppliers, and I'm going to show you what the sheet looks like when it's sent. Where is my email? Give me 1 second here. And this is no, that's a Hubble one. Hold on 1 second. It hasn't gone through my Outlook yet. Give me a second. Send receive. Okay, it's sending now. So 1 second. I'm in my sent message box. I'm waiting for it to pop. There it is. So that's what it looks like. All right. So I just like to color things and highlight things to make it easier for my vendors to know what matters. Right. So I highlighted in yellow. I need the price back by this date. I need, if you're shipping it to St. Louis, this is what I'm looking to buy. That's the quantity. I try to get me around recommended price point. This is my way of initially negotiating with them. And of course, they're going to respond back and give me whatever price that they're going to give me, but this is just kind of, how you set the game up.
So now, just say if they came in at a higher price, above the last bid, how do you say, okay, well, this is not worth my time? Or how do you build in, I guess, enough so that you can at least make some profit? I mean, I know that's probably sometimes risky, but what do you normally do in those situations?
Good question. All right. And so this is what I'll do. I'll look at this one, and what I'm loading up right now is in the training, the pricing tool.
Okay.
And which is highly recommended again too. This is custom software that I actually was part of the design team of it.
So now is this tool different from your other tool? So
yes.
Is the spreadsheet formula different? Is it
yes.
2 different systems? Okay.
Yeah, 2 different tools. Yeah, so this is the NMS pricing sheet. So the request for quote sheet sends it out to the vendor base. They're going to basically, they'll respond right to this email here, and then, send me their pricing, right?
Okay.
So now what I'm going to do here is I'm dropping all this information into here.
Okay.
This is the NSN with dashes. It doesn't automatically put the dashes in. This is more internal for us. We have another system that likes the dashes and one that doesn't. But it's just part of the database that it collects all the data in. All right, and so from here we can get carrier corporations, the manufacturer. Now, I don't have pricing for this right now, but just for the sake of your question, this tool is pretty cool in that you can just kind of load this information in here. The title is this. And then the solicitation number, which you can get from SCI Global. And so here, let me go here. Well, there are multiple places you can get the solicitation number, but this is the way, just make it real easy to get to it straight away. So that's that. And then we put the solicitation number there. So that's good to reference that. Our manufacturer's cage is going to be this guy here. Just drop that in there. Unit of measure was each. The weight, we don't know that right now because, once the vendor responds to you, if you want to know weight because, it's FOB destination, that's when you can respond back to your vendor and say, hey, thanks for your quote. Hey, also please provide me with the weight, and that kind of stuff. You begin to create a relationship with your vendors, because there's another person on the other end of that email.
Okay.
Yeah, I always tell Sequoia and Roger and the team, hey, pick the phone up, call your vendors, talk to them, let them know who you are. It's about people do business with people they like.
Right. Agree.
And then we'll say delivery days, I'm just putting 300 in here. Now, and I don't recall, this might have been destination or origin here. It doesn't matter one way or the other for the sake of this. I'll just put destination. And then the quantity was 129 of these. Now, this is where your question about the past award. All right. So where is that past award window here? So 49.91 was past award.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll put that in here. 49.91. And you said, hey, what if the price point comes back higher than this recommended price point? So let's say their price point comes back at 55.10, right? Mm-hmm. So that's your price, 55.10. Now, what I would say pre-COVID, I would say, hey, maybe that's not the right price. But post-COVID, you don't know what the prices are anymore because the supply chain is all over the place, right?
Yeah.
We were working on a Pelican case contract, and I was working with one of my vendors today. He kind of pissed me off because the price point rose $3 in 60 days. So that's making it difficult for us to make money. So I get on the phone with my supplier. I'm like, hey, what's going on? He says, man, Pelican has increased the price every 6 weeks, and there's nothing he could do, and I'm like, wait a minute, man, this is crazy, but that's what's going on. So let's say 55.10 was the price point. And so you're like, okay, I want to try to win this. And unfortunately, Sabrina, it's a numbers game and you never will know what your competitors are doing. So you always got to look at it from the perspective of what does it mean to you, right? So let's say all the pricing comes back and 55.10 is a price that includes all the costs associated with it being shipped to your home. And then, you kind of factor in, okay, cool, what the weight of this stuff is going to be. Let's say that it's 80 pounds again. So then you get in contact with your UPS, like you'll have the account set up. You can just put the numbers in and it says, okay, it's going to cost you $50 to ship this shipment, right? So then the tool is great because additional ship, knowing that you have to ship it from your home, from your office to the DLA. So you just throw in $50.
Mm-hmm.
So now what we want to do is make sure right now is showing that we're not making any money because we haven't increased it, so right now we're at a loss, right?
Right.
And so we're basically selling it to the government for what we buy it for. So we're losing $50. So
right.
Now what you want to do is increase the price point, whatever. You may say, 15.77%. And then you say, okay, cool. Well, if I win this contract, I can make $1,000. But the government is not saving much from the last time they bought it back in April of 2021, right?
Right.
And so you're like, well, let me not be too greedy, you know? So can I sleep with a $500 profit, you know, or, you know, maybe you want to raise about 5%, you know, whatever. So it's just like you start playing around with the numbers, and then you think about the level of effort that you have to put into it for you as a business owner, right? And it becomes really a function of that, you know. So then you'll win some, you'll lose some, you know. Like you may do a contract where you do it, you lowball and you go, shit, you know, I really, pardon my French, I didn't make a lot of money on that deal. So then you know where your sweet spot is as far as your markup is. You'll say, yeah, okay, I've won a couple of contracts and that one I did real well on. And then you'll just start as a professional, know what your sweet spot is. And believe it or not, I'll just share this with you. Our sweet spot is right here. 7.77%. I tell all my people I train, let this be your baseline price. 7.77. And the reason why is because it's a godly number. It's the most complete number. And I tell my team this too, when you're doing this kind of work with the federal government, because there's so many unknowns and so many nuances, it literally becomes, and that's why I use the fishing boat analogy, because it's almost like, and you know, and I'm not a really, you know, religious person, but it's literally like you're navigating this world and this landscape, of this procurement landscape, and only God can help you with this, you know. True. You don't know what's going to come on your boat, so everything that you're doing has to kind of have a kind of a spiritual connection. You know, that's just kind of our rule of thumb, and it's worked for our company, right? So I use a lot of sevens when I do things, because it's like I'm connecting with a greater power. And so, yeah, with this particular scenario, you know, I would probably, if you got a really high price point, throw 7.77, give it to DLA and walk away and see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I like the methodology there, that, you know, at least, you know, you test the waters. You never know what may come out. Like you said.
Especially if you got a price point that's much higher than the past award. Right. And you know, the DLA has so many opportunities out there that you're not going to have the connect like someone else until you, so that's why back to our original thought of getting in contact with Showa. There may not be vendors that do that extra step.
Right.
And as you can see, the DLA didn't really have a lot of Showa stuff in there either.
No. No, not at all.
And this is where you can do even more research, because you can find out like what's a good database to see what Showa has done. Let me think about that. I'm trying to see where we can get some. Oh, you know what? I know exactly where we can get that at. We can go here. Let's clear here. And I'm just going to put Showa's cage code here just to see if the DLA is buying a lot of Showa stuff. Look at that. You see? So by putting in that cage code, it's not a lot. You know, it's not a ton of items here. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. That's just page 1 of 4. Let me scroll down more. Yeah. So, you know, got a handful of items, and they've been buying Showa since 2021. You know, you can see some of these opportunities. So last year, they had a nice, you know, chunk of things coming in there. So you may have an opportunity to be a vendor for Showa. And this is just one of your many vendors that you'll begin to establish a relationship with, that you know that there's a demand for their products with the DLA.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, you know, when doing business with the DLA, there is a little bit of an upfront cost for any business to get involved. I mean, there's nothing that's for free to get involved, you know, especially when there's a lot of money to be made, you know. So it's just kind of empowering yourself to get the right tools and have the right mindset and the right training and the right support system in order for you to be able to grow and make money over the course of the long haul, you know. So just know that the DLA, Sabrina, is not a get rich quick scheme, but it's one of those things that, as you know, I don't know if you've been watching the news, the country is moving into a recession, but Uncle Sam will continue to buy. He has to, you know. So it's just like learning how to do this, especially because the stock market, it dropped Twice a day. Yeah.
I stopped looking at the stock market because it gives me a headache. I see red. I see red every time I look at it.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so this is good. I'm excited. You gave me a little bit more reason to be excited about taking this journey, and because I'm just trying to create another stream of income, because I'm trying to get to a place I'm ready to leave my 9 to 5. Yeah. So I'm looking for different avenues to be able to make that happen.
Cool.
So this is good. This is good information. So.
All right, cool. Well, thanks again for the call, and thanks for joining the masterclass and being a part of our network. I'm always here. I think you have the links anytime you want to schedule a one-on-one with me, is right there. Now, the one-on-ones, they are paid one-on-one sessions, because I try to give you as much value as possible, and I try to make sure the price point is a reasonable price point for all the the wealth of information that I can provide. And I try to be as transparent going forward to being your coach. So
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay, cool.
For taking the time. Enjoy your weekend.
All right, you too, Sabrina. All right, talk to you later. All right, bye. Students and clients, this concludes today's high-level video training exercise. If you have any direct questions regarding today's content, please by all means leave me a comment in the comment section below, and I will be sure to respond to you as soon as possible. If you have any related video topics relating to federal contracting and or doing business specifically with the DLA, by all means, please leave a comment in the comment section below, and I will take a look, and if that's a video I think I could cover, I will do my best to provide that content in a timely manner. If you're interested in a more directed one-on-one contracted consultation with yours truly, the DLA Guru, you can reach me at fed.contracting@nmsupply.com, and I will respond to you to align my schedule with yours so that I can work to help to empower you on being successful with the DLA. Again, the NMS eLearning Systems channel was put together with you in mind. I have 20 years of experience in doing business with the federal government through federal contracting with other agencies, as well as doing business with the DLA. And so I created this channel to empower you for success with the DLA. Hopefully you are taking the content in, and it is providing some value and some insight on how you can grow your business with doing business with the DLA. And if you're interested in a higher level, deep dive into doing business with the DLA, I have created an online NMS eLearning Systems Masterclass. It is 3.5 hours worth of course content that provides you with the tools, step by step, how to get registered, how to get learning about software tools that we use in-house, proprietary software that we also offer to our students and clients, as well as how to position your company and the products that you may be able to offer to the DLA so that you can win DLA supply contracts. It's probably the most lucrative business model that the federal government has, where the barriers to entry are the lowest of any federal contracting agency. And the DLA, as everyone knows, does about $50 billion worth of procurement for the U.S. government on an annual basis. My NMS eLearning Systems Masterclass is an industry leader in that it covers from A to Z on how to set your company up to position your company to be successful with doing business with the DLA. The link's on the screen, and I'll also provide it in the description below. I urge you to take a look at the NMS eLearning Systems Masterclass. Well, that will conclude today's overall review, and I hope that you have found success and you're feeling empowered and energetic about doing business with the DLA. Hey, stay in touch, and I'll see you on the other side.